Hello there and welcome to this week's episode of AB+. This week we have questions on the Fifth Commandment and we'll be discussing those and then try and answer them for you at home. But just at the start, I want to remind you, as always, that if you have any questions at all on the commandments coming up in the next few weeks, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then please don't hesitate to send them to the mobile number that will be accompanying this video. We would love to have as many questions as you can think of, and then we'll try and answer them for you. This week, as you can see, we have two lovely new guests, and I'll just let them introduce themselves now. Maybe tell us your name, where you're from, and what you do, and I'm sure maybe some people here will recognise you. So, ladies first.
Hi, I'm Glenda Ruddell. I'm from Lurgan. I have a wee fruit shop in Lurgan. And I would know Trevor. Trevor used to be one of the youth leaders in my church whenever I was growing up. So I think that's how I got roped in here.
Very good.
Okay, so I am Phil. I am from Belfast. Some of you may recognise me from helping the Holy Bible Club team for however many years it's been now. I think it's 3. It seems longer, but I mean that in a good way. And I am a primary school teacher.
Very good. Thank you, Glenda. Thank you, Phil, for coming along this evening. Just before we come to our questions, then I'm going to read the commandment, as always, the Fifth Commandment, and then maybe a few other verses along with that in Scripture that might help us in our discussion and might help us answer some of the questions we have as well. So the Fifth Commandment in Exodus 20 and verse 12 says, "Honour your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you." Then if we flip forward to Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 24, it says, "Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him." Then if we go into the New Testament in Romans chapter 1 and verse 28, there's a couple of verses here. "And since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what they ought not to do. They were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. They were full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness. They are gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient to parents, foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless." Then thirdly, if we look at Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 1, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right." And then finally, Colossians chapter 3 and verses 20 and 21. "Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged." So with all of those in mind, we'll come to our first question, which is this, and obviously, any of you can jump in here. First question is, does honour mean obey? Are there instances where we can honour our parents even if we disobey them? Good question to start off with.
Well, I certainly think that the word honour, an aspect of it means to obey. I think there's a lot of things that we mean by honour. We can unpack that word quite a bit to mean lots of different things, but I do think that a part of that does mean to obey your parents. So, but other aspects, you know, things like respecting your parents, things like submitting to their rebukes, listening to their advice, making sure that you're supporting, comforting them, maybe. Those are all different parts of honouring your parents, and certainly obeying your parents, I would feel would be a part of how to honour them, and obeying them cheerfully and out of a principle of love for them.
Yeah,
I would say that there's probably very few exceptions that you can make for not honouring and obeying your parents, and in a sense, God has given us the parents and placed us within the family. So we're to trust that God and His will has put us in the right family, in the right situation, and He has called us to reflect our honour to Him by honouring and obeying our parents. I suppose if you want to stretch it on out, that as we get older and we don't live under the roof of our father and mother, we're not called to obey them in terms of being children, but as Phil has pointed to, we can certainly still honour them by respecting them and by looking up to them.
But question 3 is this: how much emphasis is on the parents to honour this commandment? Because I think this will maybe help us with the rest of the discussion. I probably should have put that a wee bit further up. So how much emphasis is on the parents to honour this commandment?
I kind of think that the whole emphasis is nearly on the parents.
Mm-hmm.
More so nearly than the children, because it's on them to teach the children, and not like further on, as you quoted there, it says, you know, do not what did you quote? I forgotten.
Don't provoke your children.
Yes, thank you, Trevor. Yeah, don't provoke your children. So in the same sense, I think it's a mutual thing. It's not as simple as honour your mother and father. It's more of a mutual commandment. So yes, you have to honour your mother and father, but at the same time, they have to play their part in it to be honoured to a certain extent, because it has to be, you know, it has to be a two-way. It has to be a two-way street type thing. Because parents have to, there has to be respect there, and the parents have to not respect, but you have to teach that how to respect.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think just building on that, Glenda, as well, you know, firstly, as parents, we are called to honour and obey God as our Heavenly Father, and how we do that and how we live that out becomes an example which the children then observe and see for themselves. So if we're teaching them to honour and obey us, they are looking at how we're honouring and obeying God and how we're doing things. There's one example I throw in just to keep filling his toes, but before Christmas, there were a couple of primary schools, and they decided, for no doubt all good reasons, that they would close down. But that was going against really the guidance. The principals were wanting to do something to suit themselves. And all I've said is, if the children look at the principal bending the rules, then no doubt they'll look at it and say, well, we can bend the rules of the school, so hey ho.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. At the end of the day, you know, the parent-child relationship is really the foundation where all other relationships are built from. And as you're saying, it's in the house, it's around the kitchen table. They will learn that relationships, that there will be those in authority over them and how to respect that authority. And it's up to those parents to be able to teach that. Even what Mark was reading at the start from Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 4 says, don't provoke them to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So the onus there is on the parents. And the onus is on the parents, yes, to teach them, but secondly, to also make sure that what they're teaching them is biblical, and what they're teaching is in line with how God wants them to be brought up, and especially in a Christian household. You know, so I certainly do feel that, you know, I think, you know, you were saying there about, you know, it's a two-way street. Absolutely. You know, the parents are the ones that we look to for, you know, our example, and that will pretty much build our relationships, or be a big part of how we treat others when we go to school, when we are in the workplace, when we are out and about with other people.
I suppose whenever you say about that, Phil, in many ways this commandment is not just about children and parents. This commandment is teaching us, as First Peter chapter 2 would say, to honor all people, and that in turn, in honoring others, respecting others, we're submitting to authority, and that's a big challenge for society. We don't really want to abide by rules and regulations and government. We want to go and do our own thing, but this commandment really is ultimately asking us to honor and obey, and ultimately, as I said before, to honor and obey God.
Yeah, and I think as well, going back to what somebody said, what says Trevor there, about our children watching the parents. Even we think of this command sometimes to small children. When we learn it in Sunday school or whatever, we think it applies to 5, 6, 7, and up to 18. But if we need to teach those children, of course, this command to honor their father and mother. But as you say, if they don't see us doing the same, and there's grandparents there too. So if a parent is saying to the child, you need to honor me, you need to respect me, you need to obey me, and then see that parent go to their parents, to their grandparents, and come home and complain or whatever it is, they're actually teaching them something that's contrary to what they're actually trying to teach them in honoring them. And I think as well, there was something else somebody else said that made me think, as parents, if you have a father and a mother in a household bringing up children, then they also have to be on the same page. There's no point in trying to teach your children to honor your father and your mother if your father and your mother aren't on the same page and aren't teaching the same thing, because then that's going to be detrimental to actually teaching them the word of God, because you're going to be pitching them against father and mother. So I think that's it's very important that the parents are of one accord as well, and obviously, as Phil said, teaching them the way of Scripture, the way of God. Question 4 then: what place does discipline have in the home, and what does good discipline look like? And it's the one. I know that I was definitely disciplined as a child in a way that maybe some people would say wasn't what you should do or whatever, but I never felt hard done by. The wooden spoon was always a great way of keeping me in line, and I know that I deserved it quite often too. So I'll not be afraid to say that. But what is discipline? What does good discipline look like?
I think good discipline needs to come out of a place of love for your children. I need to say here as well, just in case anybody's listening to this thinking that I'm a dad or something. No, I don't have any children, so this is just my experience. But I do think that discipline needs to come out of a place of love. If you think, the Heavenly Father relationship with us, God disciplines us for our good and to refine us, and out of a place of love, and it's for our own good. There's a verse in Hebrews about he disciplines those he loves, and I do think that needs to be, I don't know if motive's the right word. I don't know if motive, like your motive to discipline, I don't know if that's the right word, but it needs to come out of a place of love and wanting what is best for your children. And I understand that, there are times like children sort of go through their phases, when they get into their teenage years, they may become rebellious. They may want to go against what you're saying. And some of those years may be really tough as a parent. And the way you discipline your children might have to change, but whatever way you discipline it, it needs to come out of a place of love ultimately.
My only problem on this is I'm a mom of 5, so I have a 13-year-old right down to a 17-month-old. So I think I'll answer this in about 20 years' time, whether or not what I'm doing is actually working. So, and you were saying they're out of a place of love, and yes, I agree with that too. But a healthy fear works quite well as well. You have to understand that there is consequences, and
Totally.
so yeah, no, I think I'll pass on this one for another 20 years, and then we'll see how I.
Yeah.
Certainly. From that point of view, you know, even from a school point of view, when I am disciplining in my classroom, you know, some people say to me, you know, oh, don't you wish they just brought back the cane? To be honest, I couldn't do that. You know, I just that is good discipline. But you know, the strategies that I use in school are to get the best out of my children. And yes, as you say, there's something good about a healthy fear. They know if that they don't do it, you know, well, Mr. Massey's going to go through me for a shortcut, and you know, my lunch time's going to be taken off me. You know, there needs to be that. But again, it's I suppose it's going back to what we said earlier, learning to respect that authority from those who are in authority.
Yeah. Well, as you're saying that, and then you're from school as well, you're a teacher, then there was a quote that I sent you there that I think is actually very, very appropriate. It says this: a few years ago, statistics revealed that in just under 2,000 schools in the UK, there were 6,000 violent acts and 37,000 disruptions. Teaching is tougher today than it has ever been. Children are no longer aware of the lines of authority and will respond to those in authority in a way that at one time would never have been tolerated. And it ends by saying the home is the child's first encounter with authority. So it actually backs up 100% what you're saying there as well, Phil. That you know, this has to start in the home, because you know, if you have parents who don't teach their children to honor authority, to honor them, and then obviously honor teacher, society, their leaders or whatever, then when they come into contact with that authority in school, they get a very big culture shock. You know, when they're actually disciplined.
And I think what's coming out of this is the importance of the home, and every home has its own story, and that's the way life is. But it shows that God has given us this gift of the home, and as we discuss, we see the importance of that. Like Glenda started off by saying, you know, how youngsters are taught and what they see, and we've built from there. And home, many ways, it's the first hospital, it's the first school, it's the first government, it's the first church. You know, the home is a micro unit of everything, and therefore the home is where the child gets its first dose of discipline, its first dose of respect, or a healthy fear, whatever you want to call it. It's the challenge is to ensure that respect for healthy fear, you know, doesn't be abused then by the person in authority.
Well, then we'll go on to what was question 2 then. What does it mean that your days may be long?
Because I had mentioned this whenever we're doing the midweek series, and I suppose naturally we all jump to thinking, oh, if we're goody two shoes, we're going to live to be 120. But the understanding by the Jews, they used this as an expression. Live long in the land was an expression for the fullness of God's blessing and an abundant life. So it wasn't necessarily to do with living a lot of years, but it was living quality years that God gave to them.
No, I think it is to do with, you know, like obviously when the commandment was given, it was given to the Jews at that certain time, and you know there was the whole sort of rhythm, I suppose, or pattern of life that their obedience brought a reward of the promised land. And you know, I think to us now, it's talking about, you know, that we may live long in the land. It's not talking about, you know, as you're saying, you know, living on to a ripe old age. You know, it was funny, there was a minister, I remember, preaching on this once, and they said, you know, they give the illustration that there was a lady that was becoming 102 in their congregation, and as they were driving home in the car, the minister's son said to him, "Oh my goodness, Daddy, that woman really must have obeyed her parents when they were alive, because look at what age she is." And you know, it's nothing to do. I don't think it's obviously not anything to do with that. I just think it's about, you know, the promise of the eternal life that we will have.
Hopefully that answered that question. And I think it did help me. I read a book that also said that, and it felt about that wee 102-year-old birthday. So I thought that was. It's obviously from somebody who has taught their children the Bible well, or at least taught them the 10 Commandments, to even think of that in the first place, which will help us maybe wrap this all up together. Why do we see such a lack of respect for parents and elders nowadays in society and in churches? And how can we fix this problem? I'm sure there's plenty of experience here of seeing that. But why do you think we have such a lack of respect for parents, elders, society, and churches, and how can we fix that problem? Everybody's quiet now.
I do think that certainly from the experience that I see with parents at school, and hopefully none of them will be watching this, but one of the main things that I see in school is that, you know, naturally parents want their children to have what is best for them, you know, and from what I see in school, you know, there's a very much materialist culture, you know, and they will do whatever it takes to, you know, if they know, like they're almost in a way that their children know that if they, you know, go on and on and on about wanting a certain phone or a certain object or something, that their parents are going to satisfy that at some point. And, you know, I sort of feel that then that, yes, while the parents want to satisfy what their children's needs are, or children's wants, I suppose, rather than needs, are, and don't want to be coming across as like bad cop and not letting them have whatever it is and not wanting them to be the odd one out or whatever. That sort of, in a way, again, coming back to what we've already said, it sort of breaks down the authority, the sort of the discipline, I suppose, it's there. You know, I was brought up that when my mum or dad said no, it meant no, and, you know, I was really stupid if he asked about it again because I knew what was coming, you know, and the boundaries were set there. And maybe that's what it comes down to, is just, you know, the boundaries are not set in the home, maybe as much as they have been. And I know that's a very big generalization, but, you know, boundaries I do feel need to be set, starting with the home. So that then so that those relationships then, and what you learn in that family relationship infiltrates into the other relationships that you have.
Yeah, and I think as well, what you're saying as a school teacher, you know, I've heard of instances, and I'm not saying it's from you, but from other people as well, from teachers, you know, it used to be that, you know, wee Jimmy was seen and not heard. And nowadays, you'll have parents walking into school because Jimmy has been a bad boy and done something wrong. They'll walk in and say, Jimmy will be heard and Jimmy will be seen, you know, and so the emphasis is actually on the child, and the child seems to have so much more power in that instance. And it just seems wrong to see a parent defend a child for doing something that is wrong. You know, especially in a school, because there's so many instances of it. I've heard of so many myself, and you as a teacher are bound to hear more than me.
Yeah, no, like I think parents like to come in and tell you how to run your classroom a lot of the time. Now, certainly not in our parents, I must say, are very supportive, and, you know, if if a phone, like, and I must say, you know, if you say to a child, right, if that doesn't stop, I am going to have to phone home, and usually that knocks the nail on the head, you know, and they do wise up after that. But I just say, Mark, I have heard of occasions where, you know, like the teacher's just been, you know, brought through the mill with regards to how the parents are treating them for how they have disciplined. And maybe that's in line with the school policy and the way the school does it, but the parent's not happy with that because there's no way my child would do that. And it's funny, actually, we're in this sort of period of home learning, and, you know, I'm hearing all these jokes that, you know, parents will actually get to see what their children are like at school, you know, and you know, well, my child will never do something like that, or my child knows how to do this. But actually, during this period of home learning, they're getting to see their children more for what they really are. You know,
discipline could take on a whole new meaning, in Phil.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
The Cian will be back.
I think when September came the last time, the parents were pretty much standing on the door at the second just to get rid of them, you know, having been with them for 5 months solid. But so yeah, you know, like certainly there is, like I just say, Mark, that the child does seem to have sort of more status, I suppose, than what they did previously.
But then
obviously that impacts. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, this impacts the whole of society. I'm sure Glenda in the shop, I know her customers are all very good to her, but I'm sure there are days, Glenda, whenever you see that spill over in people as well, that people say things or do things that, you know, could be a bit nicer.
Yes. No, you see, the majority, though, I have to say, the majority of customers that come in are very respectful and very appreciative of everything that is going on, and you know, with things being so difficult at the minute, most of them are, but you do get people who obviously have no respect for other people. They have no respect for, you know, people that is maybe an authority to them, and they just, especially like with COVID now, sure, everybody is querying the regulations that are in, and there's people who won't wear a mask out of principle, or, you know, will flout the rules that are in place for their safety, and you're sitting there going, we're trying to just get through this all together, you know, you have to work with us too. Yeah. But so yeah, you do see it up into adults, and then their children are learning that as well. They're learning we don't have to abide by the rules, and we don't have to do what the government's saying, we don't have to do what, you know, the shops are saying, we don't have to do what the schools are saying. And so that's going to filter out. Like it'll be interesting to see what society's going to be like when our children grow up, because they're seeing a whole different way of things, because they're not, there are people who are flaunting it, but at the same time, I think the majority aren't, if you know what I mean. The majority are complying and trying their best. And I think it's the younger generation, or the, you know, the teenagers now, and that, you know, you not think, am I wrong?
I have a daughter who's about to turn 21, and she says, "Oh, Daddy, blame the young people, blame the young people." So probably every generation has a part to play. But going back to a point we made, you know, the family is a building block. You know, one of the things sadly I have to share with people whenever they're coming to marriage classes, 42% of marriages don't actually survive. And if we've got a high level of broken homes, then we've less of an impact in actually teaching this commandment. And we didn't get mentioned many of the old timers tonight, but Thomas Watson, he actually taught that this commandment not only affected or related to parents of children, but it related to fathers in the political sense, the spiritual sense, and as well as in the domestic sense. So, and partly society wanted to draw down, bring people into equal or equilibrium. It used to be the minister and the bank manager and the schoolmaster was all set a bit above everybody else. And then there was that leveling off whereby I'm as good as anyone else around me. And life is getting these things in balance as such, because it's so easy just with authority to abuse it.
Yeah, and I suppose if we're bringing the emphasis back on the parents there, as Glenda said there a wee minute ago, going back to the question then, if the emphasis is on the parents, the second part of that question is, how can we fix this problem? And maybe the answer to that question could probably be directed at the parents, surely.
Oh, I blame us.
Well, you're bringing up your children now as it is, and Trevor, you've brought up your children. Your youngest is 21. But for even the likes of Phil and me, if we ever have children or whatever, we're the ones, the people now who are going to have children, who are going to be parents, are going to have to learn what this command means. We're going to have to learn what the template of a family is, and how to actually teach this command, how to teach scripture, and how to teach that we are an authority over them, that they must honor us, they must honor society, they must honor their teacher, their minister, their whoever it is, bank manager, whatever it may be. The emphasis then must be on the parents to actually go ahead and do that.
It's basically the solution is the solution, but the problem is it's nearly like we're moving in a godless society now. So God is less and less. God's not in schools as much anymore. God's not, he's not in the home, and that's where the problem is. So while yes, it is on the parents don't know God as such, then they don't have that relationship, so they can't teach that relationship. So this is a bigger problem. It can't be, I don't even know how you would go about solving it, because it has to go back. I could blame the ministers.
I seen it coming, because I said she's going to say teach the Bible. Yeah.
But that is where it has to start. Because the parents need to be taught. They need to know God. They need to have that father relationship with him first and foremost, to then be able to show the parents' love, the ideal parents' love, to their children, because the children will learn by example.
Yeah.
Because I was reading, I think during the week, and it was about the sins of the fathers, and I used to think that was children being punished because of the sins of the fathers, but it sort of flicked it around, and it said that the sins of the fathers, it's learned behaviour. So what the fathers and the parents teach the children, the teachers, it's all passed down. So it's more that it's a learned behaviour. So we need to bring God back to the schools. We need to bring God back to the homes, and then that's where it'll start to work. Because now I'm fortunate that my kids are their school is very, very good, and they do teach. God is not taken out of our schools yet, but in lots and lots of places it is, and I think that's where it's going wrong too. God is taken out, and parents aren't knowing what they're supposed to be teaching. That makes sense.
Yeah, very well explained. Any further comments, or I think maybe our time's up for the half an hour.
I just pass the blame on to the minister.
That's our conclusion tonight then. Very good. Well, just as we wrap up then, I want to say obviously thank you to Glenda and to Phil for coming along. Thank you, Trevor, as always. And hopefully people at home have found this, maybe entertaining, but also helpful in explaining some of these questions and answering them. And again, if you have any more questions on the other commandments, please do send them along to Trevor or myself, and there will be a number along with this post, so text or call that. But thank you for joining us. thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you again next week. And as we look at the Sixth Commandment. So from all of us, bye for now.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.